Team Greely, and welcome to this quarter's Coffee and Conversation with our Garrison Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Keith Marshall. We're so excited to be here today to get our team of rugged professionals some fantastic information. We're also so excited to have our in-studio audience together with us. The Commander wants to hear directly from you, so we will let you know when it's time for you to ask questions. Sir, the floor is yours for opening remarks.
I just wanted to thank everybody for taking their time out. I think it's super important that we continue these coffee and conversations so that we have the dialogue back and forth and we're able to address any concerns that teammates or the community as a whole might have about operations or maybe things that are just things that are going around in the community that should be answered.
Well, let's get our coffee. Let's get started. Let's start this off with a hot topic that's brewing on social media, as you well know, and is a big deal to our friends outside the gate. In a nutshell, describe what Advanced Life Support Mutual Aid Agreement looks like, what the Army's responsibility is when it comes to supporting our community and with an ambulance service, and where do we, Fort Greely, go from here?
The Delta Medical Transport, that is the contracted service for the city of Delta Junction, has officially provided notification that they're closing. And that closing will happen on 21 February of 2025. So right now, the mutual aid agreement that we have with the city of Delta Junction is for fire and EMS services. And that is at a ALS level or advanced life saving level. So that is basically your advanced medics that can provide those services. The mutual aid agreement is put into place so that if they need our assistance, we're able to assist them, and vice versa. If we need their assistance, they're able to assist us. The government puts these in place with other government entities to gain some efficiencies and maybe address some shortfalls. DOD is not responsible for a community level medical service, and especially one that would transport continuously patients to a location outside of the city limits. In this case, up to Fairbanks. So with our mutual aid agreement, we are able to provide those services right now, but with that service and that reciprocity of services going away, we have to reassess from the government's perspective that we are no longer able to provide that service to the community because there is no reciprocity in that, which is a hard pill to swallow because we care about the community and we do a lot of mutual aid calls. I had analysis done on this and still going through a lot of it of how much of our EMS calls are for mutual aid, and it is more than 50% of our calls are mutual aid calls. So that's concerning, right? And really. In this situation, we need the city of Delta Junction to come up with a solution, and we can still edit the mutual aid agreement at any time. It's a living document. It is under Colonel Cole as the Fort Wainwright Garrison Commander's signature authority for agreements. So we would enter into a new mutual aid agreement through that signature with those parties. So we are going to provide that notification to the city that we will be stopping those services to match when their services stop. And then we will re-edit those whenever the city comes back with a permanent solution or a solution that provides that level of support.
Another topic that keeps brewing on social media as well is the topic of installation access. Without being facility specific, can you give a little bit of education about how access to different facilities is determined and like how the Army decides, and then and why these facilities at Fort Greely, like who they're here to support?
Absolutely. So This is clearly spelled out in the Department of Defense instructions 1015-10. It establishes the morale and welfare programs for all of the services. And then furthermore, for the Army side, the Army Regulation 215-1 provides who is eligible for FMWR supported activities. Now, FMWR facilities are governed different ways because there are different levels of funding that go into those specific facilities. So you have a Class C, which is for-profit only. So like your golf
Okay.
courses, your bowling alleys, things that if they don't make money, they don't remain. But then there's other things, a Cat A category, which is it is funded by appropriated funds, which means the government pays for that service for training purposes for the soldiers. So it is clearly defined in there who has access and who does not. Some of those authorities lie at my level to approve exceptions to that policy. And it's not really exceptions, it's more granting access through that policy. But for the most part, all of those things are established at that DoD level and then again reiterated at the Army level. So what the team here has done and has worked hard to ensure is that we are able to share those Cat C programs with the community. So we put together the request, took about 2 years to get it approved for CAC access for our Community Activity Center. And so now we are able to have local community members that don't have affiliation, and that's an exception to the policy, the DoD instruction in AR 215-1. So, but that was approved at the Undersecretary of the Army's level. So it is a high approval level to get an exception to policy, and that's why it took so much time. And unfortunately, the way that funds are allocated to these programs does not leave a lot of wiggle room for, you know,
Access.
exceptions or access because of the congressional oversight that goes into that, because of the way that the fundings are provided.
So basically, what you're saying is the community activity center, because a lot of that program is for profit, the access you can have a lot more people than say like the pool, which is used more so for training.
Correct. Yeah, and again, those regulations state who is eligible to use those services, and obviously soldiers, family members of those active duty soldiers, and you know, uniformed members, DoD card holders, and then you know it clearly lists out who is eligible to be able to use that. And unfortunately, in this community, I know that a pool would be very beneficial.
100%.
But again, that's not something that myself, even Lieutenant General Gainey, at his level as the senior commander of the installation, can grant. That is a Department of Defense policy that we would have to continuously work at and change funding requirement, which is probably not doable.
We do love sharing our installation when we can. And that's why my next topic is we are so excited to host the Team Greely and Delta Junction formal Enchanted Forest Gala. And we'll have an entire evening with the public, with Team Greely, with our mission partners to share a meal, do some dancing, have fun. What are you most excited about for that event?
Well, this is going to be a great event. I think that we offer a lot of different events for family members, for soldiers. We try to do community events quite often, but this is a little different where it's more of a formal event where we expect people to come dressed up like they're going to a special night out or something like that. So I'm excited to see people having fun, people interacting, the community coming together. The this is a FMWR hosted event. They are hosting it. It is not a military or garrison led event. So I just wanted to make that clear that there will be no requirement for formal military attire. The
Yep.
soldiers can wear that if they so choose, but it is not a requirement at this gala. So I think it's going to be a great time. I think, from what I understand from the history of Fort Greely, some things like this have been done
Yeah.
like this in the past.
Yeah.
So excited to see it come back. We are still, I think, recovering a little bit from normal routine activities that happened pre-COVID.
Yep.
So we're trying to get back into some of those activities.
Agreed. That's what I'm the most excited about is everyone coming together.
Yep.
So we've made it to the end of a very large exercise, and it looks like America's finest are reaping the benefits of Arctic training received at the Donnelly Training Area. Why are these exercises so important for warfighter lethality, and what does the future look like for Fort Greely regarding future training within our area?
So as we get through this JPMRC, a USERPAC led exercise, the 11th Airborne Division is the primary participant of that exercise. The training areas around Fort Greely are actually owned and managed by Fort Wainwright, so we have very little interaction with the actual exercise itself. Could that grow in the future? I'm not sure. That's unclear. 11th Airborne Division does not currently have assets assigned here on Fort Greely, so it makes it a little bit challenging to support some activities when we're not funded to support some of those activities. Now, I know that Fort Wainwright is in those discussions as 11th Airborne Division Commander Major General Hilbert is the senior commander for Fort Wainwright. And it is their exercise to continue sharpening their warfighting skills to provide that lethality. And that's an important piece for our Arctic force to be able to operate in these conditions and give us that tactical advantage and edge if we ever do have to fight in this type of environment. So it is critically important. I'm sure a lot of Alaskans understand the idea that if something isn't managed or touched quite frequently, it may break or something worse will happen. So it's under that concept that we continuously drive these exercises and make sure that that soldiers are getting that exercise and making sure that they know what their responsibilities are in those environments.
One thing that I think a lot of people might not know, what you reiterated, is that outside of the gate belongs to Fort Wainwright,
Correct.
correct? And this exercise is hosted by 11th Airborne, not Fort Greely.
Correct.
One thing.
That is a correct statement. And we are an Army entity, and they are also Army
Yeah.
units. So, you know, there are some similarities there, but for our mission focus, our senior commanders focus, then start to really focus on the homeland defense mission that we have here, and not the Arctic, airborne force mission that they could be called to execute
Yeah.
at the president's request. So definitely. We have a focus here, and it's a very serious focus, protecting 300 million plus individuals on the east and west coast in the lower 48. So, we have a huge important mission here too that training other units, training in our area should not interfere with, and we are going to do our due diligence to make sure that we are doing our mission and they are able to accomplish their training exercises as an objective.
Under the new administration, we expect to see an emphasis on warfighter lethality. I know we're always talking about how to build a community of excellence at Fort Greely, and I'm wondering, do you possibly see an emphasis on Arctic operations, increased funding or infrastructure improvements, or manpower increases at Fort Greely to meet the president's intent of peace through strength?
So yeah, it's a great question. So uh, I'll start off with saying that, as the new administration gets in place and they are making their different changes, we just need to be cognizant and not get out ahead of our senior leaders. So there's a bunch of levels in between us and the president. And so DOD is sorting through their changes, and then senior leadership of the Army is providing inputs on those changes as well. So we will make sure that we meet the Army senior leaders' guidance once they provide that based off of the presidential orders or guidance. The other piece is that the Chief of Staff of the Army, his focus, number one focus has been, even in the last administration, was warfighter lethality. So this is not a new thing for the Army, and the NDAA also stresses the importance of the Arctic strategy. So it is definitely something that has already been identified as a critical capability needed for the defense of the United States of America, and then also whatever threat we might face in a Arctic environment. So nothing is changing there. I believe there will be some changes, but again, we can't get out in front of our senior leadership on what those changes are actually going to be or look like at our level.
So as we look forward to tomorrow, I think I would be remiss to say that we're in the last, say, 80% of your command tour. Um, what do you think would be the biggest lesson that you have learned since you've been here? And when you leave here, what do you think is the story that you'll tell about Fort Greely?
Well, I get choked up when I start thinking about having to leave this great environment and the people and the friendships and relationships that we've all made here since we've been here. So this opportunity has been priceless, and I thank all of my mentors and the Army and senior leaders that have helped me get to this point in my career, but it's been a development opportunity as
Yeah.
well, right? So uh, some preconceived notions of what you know installation command is,
Yeah.
and being a part of something that was not a part of before, and then coming out here and meeting this great community. And being a part of that story, that's going to be my biggest takeaway: is the awesome things that Fort Greely does here, the great people that make it happen day to day. Going to miss it terribly, but as a one chapter ends, another starts,
Yes.
and it's not that I'm going to ever forget Fort Greely or the people that are here. I've had several conversations with past commanders here, Colonel Foote, Colonel Johnson, Colonel Orr. All have a love and a regard for this place that can't be described, I don't think, in words. So it will be missed. I'm trying to stretch out that last 20%
Right.
as long as I possibly can. Like, stop. It's not going to
Stop
end.
time.
And who knows, something can always happen that's all suddenly they're going to ask me to stay longer.
Remain
The,
hopeful, sir.
the hope is out there, but the chances are very low, probably in the point percentages of something like that happening.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Well, there's always a chance because I haven't received orders to leave yet, so that's always a thing. And but I know that the next leader that's coming in here, Lieutenant Colonel Alyssa Clark, is going to be a great fit here and going to do great things. She's currently with the 100th Missile Defense Brigade in Colorado as their executive officer. So she understands this mission out here better than most, and
Great.
and I'm not worried about her at all because she has an excellent team of rugged professionals that are going to support her, just like I did. And I know that Fort Greely is in great hands because just like me, I'm a part of the puzzle. Everybody's a part of this puzzle that makes up the overall picture. And you're not going to allow her to fail in her mission, and she's not going to let you fail in your mission. So
We won't.
I'm excited for her journey, and we're going to set her up for success in the transition period this summer. But still trying to enjoy it as much as I can because I know I'm going to miss it terribly when it's gone.
Absolutely. We still got 20%. All right. As promised, do we have any questions from our in-studio audience today? Don't be shy.
Sir, this kind of goes back to Angie's last question, but what is the most thing that you're proud of that you have accomplished here at Fort Greely? And by the way, we're going to miss you terribly as well.
Well, I appreciate that. So, so there are so many things that I want to do while I was here, and uh, came in with the plan not to change things, but to guide them along to the what the team needed. So one of the projects that I'm most proud of is trying to kind of give identity or branding to the rugged professionals. So when I came here, I saw a gap where you drive onto the installation, you don't know what kind of we do here. And for the 49th, they go out to the missile field quite often. They see the silos, in the ground. You can't see the missiles unless, one's being removed for maintenance or one's being put into place. But they see it. They are going through the exercises. They have the security processes in place to get out to the missile field. But for our team, day-to-day operations, you're driving from the front gate to your building on the installation or cantonment area. You don't ever see a missile, nor do you see soldiers, but you don't see what we do. Um, a lot of installations that you go to, larger installations, you know exactly what they do right away because you drive in the gate and they have usually something that says, this is what we do. And whether that's an airplane, whether that's a missile system, whether that's a tank, whether that's something that describes definitively what happens there. Um, and we do have tanks outside of our gates, which was donated here by a unit a long time ago that was having them tested through the Arctic Regions Test Center. And it was cheaper to leave them here than it was to ship them back. So they were left here. And we have put those out there to signify that there's an Army effort here, which is great, but it doesn't really capture what goes on here. There's no tanks. There's not a tank or an armor brigade here or an Army armored battalion. So the identity was a little off. The branding is a little off. So we have worked really hard to come up with something that is, you know, honors our Alaskan heritage, honors where we're at, honors the team, because that's the biggest part. Like when I got here, I said, well, what is a rugged professional? And I got different answers, right? Everybody kind of was like, well, it could be this, could be that. And I even asked, at the time, Lieutenant General Karbler, as a senior commander, I said, sir, what is a rugged professional to you? And he said, it's a teammate that's like a Swiss Army knife that can do anything, and will get it done in very harsh conditions. Multiple talents can get something done. And I was like, I like that a lot, sir. That's a great definition of what a rugged professional is. And I continue to echo that is, our rugged professionals are our teammates performing in these harsh environments and conditions, and will do everything possible to make sure that the mission is accomplished. And we provide the world-class customer service in our vision, and we want to make sure that that aligns with our branding altogether. So one of those parts and pieces was the old coin. On the front of it has the headquarters, and then it has the aurora over the headquarters. Well, to that isn't the team to me. The team is not a building, is not a natural phenomena, even though it's beautiful. It's not the team, that it does not describe a rugged professional to me. So came to my experts and the people I lean on the most to tell me what a rugged professional is. Tell me how we can capture the essence and the heart of what Fort Greely is and brand that. Two different efforts was, first of all, to identify what is kind of things that align us to Alaska, things we see here in this location. We see moose a lot, we see, ravens, we see buffalo, we see, smaller woodland creatures, squirrels, things like that, foxes, and sometimes bears, but not on this installation. We were going through what are these meanings of these different animals to the state of Alaska? How does it fit us? And after a few different options we threw out there for a lot of testing with our community, the raven came back as a symbol that matches closely to what we do here at Fort Greely. The raven is very smart. It's one of the smartest birds out there. Can actually mimic human noises and can trick other animals with those noises. It's deeply rooted in a lot of cultures as the watcher or keeper between peace and war, and is waiting for that time frame. So that symbolizes what we do here a lot too. We are waiting and we are protecting the peace, to keep the peace, and then other things to draw out the whole team. On the back of the coin, I know we ran a story about it, but on the back of the coin is what I'm most proud of is the team that's there. It's a soldier that's represented. There's the professional, GS professional, male, female. We have DPW worker on there. We have a firefighter. We have a police officer. That makes up the rugged professional team that encapsulates everything that's going on here. So it's really trying to get that effort together. Also, we do have some static displays. The Army now calls those lawn art. So we are getting lawn art options. We do have, we're working options for a full-scale inert missile to be displayed here on the installation. Not going to happen during my time. I think it will arrive during my time, and then efforts will be put in place to display that. And then also the next generation interceptor that's coming. We've had some talks with our partners, and we are looking at options of maybe getting something mocked up to show that on the installation as well. To me, that roundabout looks really bare most of the year. I mean, we did have Christmas trees out there during Christmas, which is great, but that's kind of where my idea, where I would like to see something that symbolizes what we do here as an installation. And then for the full missile itself, looking at maybe something by the dog park where you could actually, park, take pictures of it in a manner that fits all of our security procedures and protocols, so you don't have random people taking pictures in the wrong direction. We're going to have to work through all those things because those are some of those steps. But it's those efforts of trying to align the culture and trying to get everybody to work together as a team is what I'm most proud of. Not that you need me to work as a team. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm proud to be a part of this team and try to guide it, in the culture and the history. And once my time is done, I know Colonel Clark is going to come in, and she may have some different ideas on how that culture looks or how it needs to proceed. And that's great, because I think that this community will definitely influence that and make sure that that is encapsulated in how we move forward. So great things like that is what I'm going to be most proud of.
What a great accomplishment, sir. Does anyone else have any questions?
Amelia.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
Something that I have found really amazing has been your leadership style. I think you are a servant leader of this team, and I was wondering how your legacy, your example, can be transmitted to all those leaders that are on that side every morning, every day, trying to get the mission accomplished. And mostly, how can everybody use that example to keep people motivated, have that identity, and feel proud of it?
Hmm.
Thank you for that question.
I know, what a
It's a
compliment.
very complicated answer, but to me, um, it's realizing it's not about you as an individual, right? It is about making the team successful. I am not successful if you are not successful. You are not successful if I'm not successful. It's a team effort. So I know that that kind of goes back to that servant leader concept, but it's really being a part of the team's effort, not like an individual effort. I think is part of it, um, and then understanding you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and you're not
Mm.
alone too. Um, we're not alone. Um, we have. We are a part of the United States Army, even though we are in a remote and isolated area. There are worse places in the world that are more remote and isolated, of course. But this is a wonderful place to be remote and isolated with the community members that form Fort Greely itself, Delta Junction, rural Deltana, Fairbanks, Alaska as a whole. Just a wonderful place. The hardest thing I think we have to deal with in this environment, besides the harsh weather and changing conditions, is complacency. We are at a high op tempo current all the time, and the 49th, hats off to them because they are always just at that level that they're
Mhm.
ready at a moment's notice, that fight tonight type of mentality. And that's hard to maintain, especially for 10 plus years. And it really speaks to how special they are as soldiers and how they are able to combat that complacency in their processes. So, um, but that's something that we need to be aware of too, right? Our support helps them complete their mission, helps Army, the Arctic Regions Test Command. It helps 59th Signal get a lot of their missions accomplished. Fort Greely has a lot of things that may not be seen or openly known, but everybody plays a critical role in what Fort Greely does is very important for not just the national defense side, but for actual just operations for the Army. So um, realizing that, realizing that you're bigger of a part of a bigger whole, and then understanding that people want to be, um, you know, a part of that. They want to be um, understood and appreciated for what they are doing. And I have to, even though I only have 20% of my time left, I have to start thanking people now because I will run out of time
Mm.
if I wait to the end. Um, and this is a great opportunity to do that. Coffee and conversation, thanking everybody that has helped me um, and be that leader that is needed. I don't believe in micromanagement. I don't. Uh, I want to entrust and empower people to do their jobs. That's why we have paid and hired you to do that job. So why do I need to get involved in how you're doing that job? I need to give you guidance and intent and end state, and then give you the latitude and the resources to do your job and to do what you can do for that effort. And then praise the team and praise through awards, through activities, through community events, do things that show how proud and excited and how necessary you are for the operation, the critical operations out here. So don't know if I completely answered all of that question because it is very complex to do that. I am also a product of over 20 years of Army training. So I know I might come off like, well, this is who I am, but I've also been trained to be that way. And I think that the Army is looking for leaders and senior NCOs, officers, warrant officers to fill those roles in a way that get after the way that we need to operate, not how we can operate. I do credit a lot of that education to go towards the way that we are, trained to lead. But I do hope that the art of leadership that I am, learning how to use and growing into is appropriate for the team and how we get stuff done here.
Anyone else have another question?
So I know during your time here at Fort Greely, you have participated in your immersion series where you have immersed yourself in all the different programs and directorates that we have here at Fort Greely. And you've taken time out of your day to go to those programs to see what they do during their workday. So what is something that you learned?
Ooh.
What haven't I learned?
That's a good question.
What haven't I learned from our great team? So I am in awe every time I go down to one of my immersion series and sit with our employees and teammates. So the things that I don't know that are happening in the background, that is what's really the immersion series was kind of getting at, is train me and teach me how to be a better leader of this organization by what you're doing. There was, when I first thought about this, I was like, well, I can't do undercover boss because I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be like, we don't even have an authorization for this guy and he just shows up all suddenly. And I can't do necessarily dirty jobs because not everybody's, in some position where, they're doing some undesirable things but are really critical, like, something maybe at the landfill or, some heavy labor down that DPW is doing down at the rock quarries or something like that. But what the immersion series was to see. And I've learned so much about operations around Fort Greely and the Army as a whole. And I think it's helped me every interaction, not just on a personal level, but I think it's helped me understand exactly how much goes into all of this to make it work. Before I started the immersion series, I was not aware that we, got our own sand for our roads. I didn't know that. So we're effectively running a rock quarry operations out by the landfills. Did not know that. Did not know that what it takes to run and maintain a trash collection point or a landfill. Learned a lot about that. Learned about a lot of day-to-day operations in other areas. FMWR, I can talk about operations at the CAC, how much it takes to wash all the dishes after an event. It is not a little amount. It is a large investment of time and labor that goes into cleaning up and getting after those tasks. But challenges that our teammates are facing too with multiple systems. No stranger in the Army to systems that are difficult to navigate and cumbersome, and sometimes multiple systems that are doing that. So like going over to dispatch and seeing that we have 8 different systems that they are manipulating all at the same time, where they're taking a phone call that somebody's life is hanging in the balance possibly, or a situation. They are doing that 8 different systems on one side of that operations, and then another 8 systems on another side of that. So if one person's doing that, they're working 18 different systems on different tasks and how they're doing that. So to see that firsthand and to understand that has been invaluable, I think. It will be something I always take with me in describing the challenges and the ingenuity that goes along with overcoming some of those obstacles and gaps, right? Because a lot of the things we are given, we still find a way to make it happen as a rugged professional.
Well, Team Greely, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you have a question that was not covered today, feel free to drop a comment below and we'll get you an answer in a timely response. As always, stay rugged.